Hello, my name is Cassandra Bright, and today we're working with Bob Proctor, a lovely transformational instructor, educator, who passed away in February of 2022. So he was able to go through some of the COVID experiences of existence here on this planet. So I'll be likely channeling a little bit of Bob. We've got Carnegie, and we've got Napoleon Hill, because Bob Proctor's major teacher was Napoleon Hill. Let's first start off with the discussion of the law of attraction and self-awareness. The law of attraction occurs based off of self-awareness. So just sit with that as a concept, because you may or may not get it initially, because it's an evolutionary period of growth as a human. Meaning if you're 20 years old, you were not born here on this planet knowing what the law of attraction is. It's the whole purpose of why you are educating others and educating yourself. Meaning this morning I woke up, I watched Bob Proctor, and the fact that I'm in an advanced state of enlightenment, I'm able to embody the work 10 million times faster than you ever will. Meaning I understand the philosophies that he's teaching. Not only that, I see his perspective, but I'm also creating a perspective from my own perspective. And now I'll be able to keep Bob Proctor's existence alive in the sense of words on this planet. Because what happens oftentimes when you think you're going to leave a legacy behind is the douchebags get a hold of your work and they try to take it and turn it into some nonsense bullcrap, which is exactly what happened with certain individuals that I saw on this video I watched. You want to build meaningful blocks. You want to build meaningful relationships. You want to know that they're already trying to come in and block the information because they only think it's valuable for them to utilize. You also want to know that people think when they come across information, mine. Not only they think mine, they think that they're the only ones that are able to regurgitate it, which is how they teach it. Versus embody the work, because they are so young, they've never experienced anything in life, so they are literally regurgitators. There's a way of being around teaching that if you completely understand the information as the way it was meant to be understood, that you pass it down to the next generation or to the next student. One story that Bob Proctor brings up is a Carnegie Hall story of Napoleon Hill as his predecessor. And Carnegie tells Napoleon Hill that he wants him to be basically more successful than Carnegie is or was. We all know Carnegie Hall. However, some of you don't know Napoleon Hill. However, you know Think and Grow Rich as a term. Consider that Carnegie Hall built 50 millionaires and Napoleon Hill built millions of millionaires. And I'm not even specifically speaking to money. I'm talking about expansion of the human soul. Dale Carnegie came from nothing, grew into the richest man in the world, ran into Napoleon Hill in an encounter in a meeting, and he asked Napoleon Hill, if you had to spend 20 years basically working for free on a project, however, you knew it would fulfill your soul and it was up to the good of the world, would you do it? And Napoleon Hill said yes. No more needed to be said on that, I assume. Carnegie Hall also said to Napoleon Hill, I want you to think of yourself as being 10 times more successful than you think that I am. In the wrong mind, you would think financially. In the right mind, you think in joy and happiness. Knock the blocks. Blocks, break them down, start seeing through a new perspective on what's available to you if you do it the right way. Most people weigh on circumstances, and that's their focus. That didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work. that didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work. Nothing else but that didn't work. Noting the energy drop, and as I point out all the negative, versus what we knew of and what we know of the Napoleon Hill dialogue, which is what? The equivalent benefit, which is your failure, quote unquote failure, which you know is your own decision to decide that it's a failure, to create it as an opportunity and growth. The goal is to merely exist and to be, and degrees don't mean anything. However, I disagree to some extent in the title. However, the educational process has been a prominent experience of importance to me, whether it be on the machine, meaning a spin bike, on a yoga mat, in a classroom where I learned about biology, or in a dental hygiene lab where I'm learning about pharmacology. The degree as a form of value is what people are devaluing. The flip side of that is you want to take a look at a lot of people who are book smart have no common sense, so they are not able to put two and two together. So we'll go into on another video talking about the educational system and how the hierarchy of education was created and how we're attempting to dismantle it. However, the creation in people's minds is that going to college isn't necessary, and it depends on the individual. It's a case-by-case basis. You learn a lot from going to college. However, you learn nothing going to college. So use that as your perspective shift as you attempt to make your decision, which is individual to you, as in there's plenty of opportunity out there. However, the way colleges are ran these days is more of a business than an educational system, and that's the Democratic Party and the Obama administration's fault. Because you want to remember, as we had 8+ years of Obama in office, he did a lot of bullcrap to manipulate and destroy everything we know of in education, in healthcare, and in our democracy. The best education you can perform with is education to develop within. By developing within yourself, you can be the leader that you said you want to be, to create the financial business that you want to build. Not only that, but you will find your definite purpose in life, which becomes a lesson of experience versus that's my definite purpose, which can start off like that. However, there's a curiosity accent that occurs around your definite purpose. There's only about 3 to 5% of the people on this planet that are actually living their definite purpose. Now, your definite purpose can also mean that you work as a garbage man. But it has everything to do with the attitude of being a garbage man. Meaning, I could work at Dunkin' Donuts, I could work at Starbucks, I could work at Target, I could work at any location and live my definite purpose. Because that's who I am. Currently at this time, the way the businesses are operating is definitely not from a place of definite purpose, but a definite place of psychosis and abuse. So really think about that as you're going to work every day, and how are you going to make the change in yourself to deal with what you got going on over there. So that's another video that needs to be an opportunity for you to learn, because if you're building a side hustle, you want to know that you will not be making money, not unless you're really hustling someone, because you don't have the background, nor the education, nor the experience, because you never held a job. You never held a job. And I'm going to tell you right now, most yoga teachers have never held a job. Those little beauty queens you see buffing their asses all over the internet, showing you fancy poses, have never held a job. So how are they going to teach you to inspire yourself and inspire others? They have no access to themselves in a grounding form. However, they regurgitate the word grounding, and you think that they have grounding when all they are is air and water, and that is the worst place to be. Another video as an opportunity to discuss Baptiste yoga in association with this fear factor game that Bob Proctor initiates a breakthrough in. Thoughts we think subconscious is universal intelligence. Thoughts we think subconscious is universal intelligence. Now let me start with drawing the diagram. Well, good thing I brought more than one pen because this pen doesn't work. It sucks because this isn't very good. I might just have to write on my paper. Okay. So consider this circle is your brain, and then this is your body. How you think up here, these are ideas and thoughts attached to your subconscious, is how your body feels. This is your brain, this is your thoughts, this is your subconscious, this is your body. Body. It's a way of creating your vibration. Within this, where it says P, is a paradigm of external and the way you were raised. So the day you were born, everything was absolutely perfect in your life, right? And then your mom started bossing you around, and your dad started bossing you around, and the same thing happened to them. Not to mention your teachers and your friends. And so then you created a subconscious, which is the paradigm of who you are. Whatever vibration, this is law of attraction, so whatever vibration you are frequencing into is what you attract to yourself. Consider vibration sits in here and frequency is externally. The law of attraction is vibration makes frequency, connects people. Law of attraction. Meaning some people will rattle your vibration out of enjoyment. Some people vibrate at a frequency and rattle you out of attempts to steal your joy. Consider those kinds of conversations that you're having with yourself, right? Because remember, we were born here on the planet with two envelopes, the blessings, and then the I want to say propaganda. So the blessings are all your positive thoughts, and your propaganda are your worries and your doubts. The ultimate goal is to do less and earn more. But remember, you want to have what are you going to give to get that? Meaning you have to give out what you'll receive back. Again, the law of attraction. You want to be magnetic to money, meaning money isn't important to you. Money's the byproduct, which I tell you constantly. Money is the byproduct. which I tell you constantly, meaning if you focus on money, your vibration is going to be very, very off. And that's utilizing manipulation to get you to do less and earn more, which becomes the hierarchy of social classes, which was an invention of humanity. You can only control what's on the inside, and you can only create disorientation. Only disoriented in our environment. You can't control the outside, but you can control the inside. Your outsides can disorientate your inside, which is your environment. Most people are raised in ignorance. Most people are raised with ignorance. What is ignorance? Is you just don't know. Remember how I said only 5%? 5%, 3 to 5% are operating their fullest potential within the law of attraction. However, a lot of people teach the law of attraction. Abraham Hicks is an example of a positive aspect in the law of attraction. That person who is channeling Abraham Hicks works in the realms of what they call the vortex, which is another aspect of the law of attraction. Also a book that I've read. The future must be the present to create circumstances. Most of us were raised to be controlled. We're hearing, we're seeing, we're telling, we're tasting, we're touching, and that's all that people live within. As we've advanced in the age of Aquarius, the sixth sense is arriving from subconscious to conscious, which is why these little brats are violating you on a constant. The expansion of it is possible based on energy exchange from the internet. They have no boundaries, nor do they have any care in their heart, nor do they have self-awareness, nor do they really understand what's going on, nor do they care. They all want money, because money is what's being pushed out as a priority, which is an example in the NFT world. So all those people who lost money are literally sitting there pointing fingers at Gary Vaynerchuk when they did no work around NFT projects. They only had expectations to receive a paycheck. They have nothing to back up their projects. They have nothing to back up their projects, and that's a fact. All of them except for VeeFriends. I'm sorry, but a community is not enough for me to purchase an NFT for $3,000 or $80,000 or a Beeple that is not really worth much to me. You can't even tell me that Madonna created her NFT project to remind humanity that women give birth to children. It tells me a lot about what you're up to in your art, because when you purchase an NFT, it's the law of attraction. Mumbot. Meaning if you're producing a content based on violence, then I know exactly what's going on in your mind. And I will have to tell you, no thank you. Not worth a damn. However, that's your first project. And if you were a bright human being and you were up to big things, you would either develop your project into a powerful existence for your following fan and NFT owners, or you would start a new project and utilize the first project as your education to advance NFT to survive, instead of bitching and moaning because you didn't do your fucking job. and then run over to Gary Vee and want to be coddled and catered into positivity, into suppression, which then leaves you disempowered, and then eventually into disease, and we'll go into that in a little bit. Raised with ignorance. Now, some people like Gary Vaynerchuk understand all of this. He understands all of this. He embodies it. However, he is Russian, you're a young female, and you're ignorant, and you were raised with hear, see, tell, taste, and touch in a generation that lived on the internet with bullying. How you paint what you're feeling is plastered into your project. So why would I want to purchase a man who paints the faces of murderers, which is actually an NFT project out there? Or a project that puts a penis in someone's eyeball? Well, that's inspiring. My children would love to have that on my wall. Hence why I dove into NFT projects, by the way, because I knew that the NFT projects were access points for demons to enter this planet. So you can take a look at all these NFT projects and you can see who's been hanging out with a demon. Surprise! Are you going to battle the demon, or will you accept the demon as your source? Because I choose God, that's for sure. The future must be present to create circumstances. The future must be the present to create the circumstances. You are going to live now in what you want your future to be. I'm just like letting you sit with that one, because that one was a little bit hard for me to get from the past, when I used to get inquisitive and inquiry around that conversation. The future, my goal as the future, must be the present to create circumstances. The circumstances now will create the pathway of the future that you want to live into. Where you are, there you are. Law of attraction. Act as if you already have it. Not going out and spending money that you don't have, but embodying the spaces of living your definite purpose, experiencing joy and happiness. Looking at your definite purpose and then associating your equivalent benefit, which is your so-called failures, as opportunities to learn. Looking on the bright side and having an access point, and physical, not conceptual. Worry less. Be more. You can only change your perception. And if you live your life in a perspective of negative, then that is what you will get in return. Whether you have $1 million, whether you have a Ferrari, or whether you have 1 million followers. Well, that's still not enough. Well, that's still not enough. Well, that's still not enough. And I still don't have that relationship that's meaningful, even though I have a trophy wife. And that's still not enough, and she's still not enough, and that's not enough, and that's not enough, and that's not enough, and that's not enough. Vision comes into becoming being. Not like you literally see. Becoming being. Thinking of to thinking from. concepts and conversations and observations for you to start taking a look at for your own perspective shifts. Thinking of is over there. Thinking from is a movement of internal, external evolution. Meaning thinking from is a grounded state of vision becoming being. And thinking of is conceptual conversation. See yourself at the end and be there. Embody success with your happiness and joy, and know that you're going to enjoy the process. Well, this is part of the process. Observations. Okay, well, what did I learn from that? What action do I need to take? Okay, what do I need to do now? Focusing on your internal expansion to develop yourself and creating balance in knowing the difference between all of it. Meaning you are going to be a nice person to Gary Vaynerchuk, but you ain't going to be a nice person to Drago marketing. If you see anybody who's operating with Drago marketing or anybody operating in that network associated with the NFTs, you better run. Looking at the age, looking at the way they dress, looking at their sex. I'm going to tell you right now, evil, 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 manipulation, evil. You will fall to the floor at your death while they stand above you saying, I did it. However, no one will ever know. A new age of evolution to society. All purposeful to walk you through this dimensional shift to uncover and uplift the tragedy of what humankind has become. Because I promise you that the world was ending. However, you will still not believe me because that's how ignorant you are to think you're that powerful over God and animals. As you abuse them on TikTok, you love on it as if it's glorious to watch an elephant squeal in pain. As they use a wire brush to scrub his skin. Ask Travis Barker what that was like. They get it on a daily, their whole lives. Until the hunter decides they want to kill an innocent little elephant. And so they put him in Texas for the dentist to go and shoot it while it just stands there as if that's actual hunting, and then claim that they're going to give the meat to the village people. Because you need peace of mind. Imagination, then view. Imagination, then view. Think from the end is fulfilled desire. Intense perception of the world already here. Imagination, then view. Think from the end is fulfilled desire. Intense perception of the world already here. I'll leave that at that for now. We'll move on. Just to let everybody know, I put a little side note here that Bob Proctor is Canadian. Ryan Reynolds and I are having a baby, everybody. Our fourth daughter. I'm really excited. He actually was, his sperm was taken from him. And all of a sudden she came up pregnant and he was shocked. In order to keep him on hook and also to blast me out. It's how they all operate. So he wanted out, however, it's not good for her career because her career is falling short. And she's not very good at what she does, and she's ugly. That's Blake Lively. My name is Cassandra Reynolds. Okay, let's look at the limited by weakness of poverty and imagination. So that is something that I do not live by. As you can tell, I've done work with Landmark Worldwide. I've done work with Baron Baptiste personally. I'm married to him, as a matter of fact. I have done work with countless folks like Barbara DeAngelis, from Carolyn Mice to Wayne Dyer to Teal Swan. And you name it. I've done the readings. I've been to seminars and seminars where you actually get transformative work. Okay, so there's a lot of really good teachers out there at this time who are being suppressed by the demonic spirits of these psychopaths called influencers. They will even set up tactics to point fingers at Teal Swan, saying that she's a cult leader. However, it's not a cult because you can leave at any time. However, it's like-minded thinking to the evolution of peace on earth. And there's something about that where people call it a cult. The demons call it a cult because they know the more people that are self-aware, the more that the demons will lose. I'm not really sure why anyone would not want to be peaceful and happy and to think for themselves, which is everything that Napoleon Hill teaches. People think they're limited by weakness of poverty, meaning they think because they are poor that they are weak and limited in their abilities to expand. This day and age, we are so blessed to be able to utilize the internet, which is why they're afraid. Meaning we can no longer hide the truth of who we are. So instead what they had to do was to manipulate us into believing that we're less than. Not only that, the imagination of someone like me is so much more expansive than someone like Blake Lively because she's a robot. Never has she ever done any of this work, nor does she understand it. However, those are the type of the people at this time they want to teach you so it'll occur as if you're learning and then they still stay on top. However, that is a limited belief and it creates weakness in your own self. We're going to step now into the terror barrier. It stops you from risk-taking, and it stops your risk-taking understanding. Meaning there's an emotional experience that comes along, and I've experienced it many times through this yoga studio, through signing up for my teacher training, for doing this work on the internet. It's called the terror barrier. Understanding the terror barrier gives you a powerful existence to create freedom in your life, to get the thing that you want. And I talk about it often when it comes to working out. However, this is a really scientific form for you to step into the spaces to move yourself into the knowledge and the embodying of what the thing that stops you. First, there's the bondage. Then there's a reason. Then there's the terror barrier. If you can cross the terror barrier, then you have the freedom, and that comes from an idea. So that's the first layer that I want to discuss with you on the terror barrier. First is being bondage. Then there's reason. Well, I really don't want to da-da-da-da-da. Then comes the idea. And then the terror barrier is the thing like buying a car. You're like, well, I can't afford it. And this is going to happen. 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 So I'll just stay where I'm at. Bondage. Reason. Terror barrier. Idea. However, if you were to step into the idea and create your definite purpose and do the risk taking it takes to become your freedom. It's like people saying, you know, step outside the box, but they never step outside the box. They only follow the masses. They only follow what everybody else is up to, which leaves us in a similar space constantly. However, in where we are now is an evolutionized expansion of horror, meaning most of you are in a bondage situation with all kinds of reasons, with all kinds of ideas. However, you're stuck in a terror barrier, which constrains you from freedom. I already told you that story. There's definitely no end to growth. We all were born in God's image, raised on physical senses. However, that's no longer true. Some people, we realize now, were born into devils. Not everybody is born into God's image. And initially, when they report themselves to the planet, they already have chosen the envelope of negative. They lie. They're up in heaven. They have the two envelopes. And they already know when they get here, they're going to lie. That's what we're dealing with these millennials. Raised on physical senses. Again, we go back to this taste, touch, see, smell, hear. All necessary actions, all necessities to survive here on the planet. However, the sixth sense is a sixth sense for a reason. Infinite potential. No one has a top. That goes for the good versus evil, but that's the battleground. That's your battleground. We're here to battle it. Kind of get the theories and the philosophies associated with that. The battleground is here. They lie to God when they're in what's called heaven. And then we've escalated it to where it is now. They love lying. I mean, they've always lied. Lying is real. It's so like powerful lying too. I say that in a way that's not in a good way. Yeah, this is blue. They believe it. It's a belief system for them. No, this is orange. This is Baron Baptiste orange. However, they will look at your face, believe what they're saying, and say, that is blue. No, that's orange. And that's how the battle works when it comes to the mind manipulation tactics. That's why you need to build boundaries against those folks who lied to God. When you lie to God up there, they've already made a deal with the devil or the Beelzebub, allowing the worst demon to step in and to abuse us where we are now. And I'm specifically talking to the Vandy clan. This is a war of good versus evil. I've consistently told you this, and I'm teaching you how to go to war. Results and the fruits tell you. Take a look at our government system. This is all a bunch of propaganda and jargon because they have no clue what's actually no one does really, what's going on in our government system. And all these little millennial twits want the free handout. Meaning we have a military for a reason. You really want to get what's going on here. Good versus evil. It's all over the internet, whether it be TikTok, where my video got banned because I used the word trans. So they're promoting it as if it's a normal behavior. However, they are using it as an opportunity to ban people when they conversate about it. However, there's people on the internet talking about it. So once again, it's not equal rights. However, I wanted to let you know that I've broken through my terror barrier, and I continually post. Money is a servant and a myth. It comes from luck, or good fortune is the lie. That's the lie. Got to keep it moving. That's how little I give a shit about money. It's the root to all evil. It's the reason why we're in this mess. Add power. However, with money, you got to circulate it. Meaning it can't sit in your bank account and just sit there. It needs to be moved. There's a man named Mr. Chapman that used to live down Bob Street. And he looked poor, and he liked to do what Gary does, which is trash talk. And so you'd see him out there with all his little, clinkers and stuff, and everybody thought he was really poor. And his wife actually was very similar to me, to be honest with you. And he had, when he died, he had $100,000 sitting in a jar in his house, which would, in this day and age, would have been worth $1 million. And that's how much he cared about money. But then you also want to know, you want the money to circulate. It's like more for a person into money. Like that's one topic I have no interest in discussing, aside from the spiritual attachment to it. However, in the future, I will probably evolve into knowing stuff about it, but it will be a disconnected experience for me. So like some people are like, oh yeah, I love talking about numbers and money, and I'm just not that. Attract the amount of money you desire, plant it into the universal intelligence. Done that. I said that I was going to make $91 million in my house, lying in bed, away from Gary Vaynerchuk. We weren't even seeing each other yet. I even wrote it down somewhere, and I can't remember what notebook it's in. And so instead of me receiving it, my husband received it. Because that's how generous I've always been with my money, and that's why I am in the situation that I'm in. Which means I know the law of attraction means that money is out there waiting on me. It's just somewhere I can't see it. I'm actually the wealthiest woman in the world. You want to get that as a universal intelligence. If it's a relationship, if it's a purpose, if it's whatever it is, it's not pie in the sky. It's like literally out there waiting for you to discover it. Your perfect husband, or what your husband is, or your boyfriend or whatever, they're out there. However, you haven't met each other yet. They exist. However, you're not willing to do the work on it. Or we're being abused in our relationship statuses, which is the truth at this time, by the way. An example of that is what we're watching with celebrities, et cetera, et cetera. So what y'all want to do is you want to play out what the influencers are trying to tell you. That money and beauty is the only thing that makes a good relationship. However, that to me is not beautiful. It's ugly. So you need to like fine tune what you think a relationship is. And I'm going to digress from Bob's work and tell you, you need to write down everything that you want in a husband or in a wife. Because that's also law of attraction. That's a vibrational frequency attraction to your person. You could do it in your business. You could do it for whatever goal you set for yourself. You could even do it for your physical fitness. I said during the whole time I trained for the bodybuilding show, I'm going to win the warrior. I wrote it on the refrigerator. I'm going to win the warrior. I'm going to win the warrior. I'm going to win the warrior. And then I won the warrior. However, attached to that, I did work associated with it. You have to step into something before you become that something. And you're working and enjoying the process of the evolution of yourself and becoming expanded. Which is the fun part, actually. Let's see. I'm going to do a little bit of a graph here. Subconscious, universal intelligence. So something that I was working, because in the beginning of this discussion with Bob, I didn't quite understand his diagram. So remember the beginning was the person, basically, and then the brain and the body. And I feel like you could make up all kinds of dissections. So that's your thinking. That's your frequency. And then that's your vibration. And this is what controls what you attract. Your vibration. I also think that this is subconscious universal intelligence. So if you actually take this out, as in this is just external advances from other people, this is a thinking brain, or this is like just a thinking, the frequency, external interactions with your thinking, you get a vibration, and then you create a frequency. Law of attraction. It's like multidimensional here. Do you guys see it? So there's another way to look at his charting for somebody else who didn't quite understand the last image. But you get the external sources also assist you in your vibration, but you're going to have a positive mental attitude, which is basically all this is your paradigm. It's a universal collective consciousness also. So universal intelligence to him means collective consciousness. It's the Canadian way of saying it. Just want to make sure I covered all that for y'all. Now you also want to remember that this can be utilized in negative tones. So actions respond to words. So if someone is making an experience for you, you've got to catch it. That's self-awareness game of the law of attraction. Because the way that it's all working right now is they are all trying to beat you to a pulp. My hair looks good today. So basically, you're going to transmutate the energy and learn how to defend yourselves. Because everybody's all in this weird-ass be kind movement. And guess what? Be kind is taking us to war. We got all kinds of internal wars going on right now to see who's going to be the big dog. Ooh. So it's got to, like, you got to have a relaxed body and a relaxed mind, because by being in that space to transmute into the positive mental attitude, you'll learn the transmutation of energy, because it's all about how you feel inside. Awareness of what's going on over there, and then not connecting, but it's like their energy over here as a frequency, learning to block it, and your energy over here, you being confident and learning how to block it like a shield, and then just being with the energy, and then figuring out how you're going to battle it, because that's evil. That's transmutation of energy also. These types of people, you can never fix anyone else. You want to remember that one. Meaning, don't waste your energy on that kind of stuff. That would be somebody that you want to cut out. It's so interesting because Bob says it himself. He says, I can read anybody, he says. It's like, it's so easy. And we're so lucky now because everybody basically just posts who they actually are all over the internet. They literally will post their insecurities. They literally first and foremost post insecurities. It's the way that the plastics developed that aspect of the internet. I might have to do like 4 of these videos because I'm only on this 3rd page, y'all. Holy shit. Holy crap, y'all. I cannot believe this. Look at how many pages I did this morning. Anyway, okay. The law of gender is the gestation period of it's a gestation period, okay? Meaning you don't just turn 20. You don't just turn 20. Oops. They don't like that. They really do not like that I'm successful. You really want to also get that they're trying to stop me from teaching you all this powerful information. They're trying to stop me from teaching you all this powerful information so you can be successful. You really want to get that. Okay. So everything has a gestation period. Meaning it has a growth phase for you. You know, you may be 20 years old and hearing this information for the first time. You may be 60 years old and hearing it again. However, in 20 and 25, you didn't understand it. At 35, you got some of it. At 45, you got a little more. And then at 65, as I speak to you right now, you finally got it. And then you put it into practice. And then you're able to embody it, which then eventually allows you to be it. Ask, do you want your money, your partner here, your thing is here? See? You deny, see the vibration. Some people can actually see vibration. That this chair is vibrating. It's a cellular vibration. This is vibrating. I'm vibrating. This pen is vibrating. Microscopically, if you looked at this pen, it would be vibrating. If I died, my body would vibrate. That means I'm going to use this as a physical example. This paper is vibrating. This pen is vibrating. The law of attraction. So you got to learn to transmute the energy when you're dealing with a demon. So it's like this. I've actually posted some images on Instagram and one of my pages where it's a person and a person, and then they're vibrating like this, and you're vibrating like this. You want to be like this, or you want to be like this? So what an energy vampire does, and this is what a lot of these demon hoes are doing, is they take a plug and they plug into you and they suck all the juice out of you. And then you're left depleted. Monovan does that. Then when you're depleted, they attack you with a knife. And then they enjoy that. That's how they become powerful. Then they show you how beautiful they are and how much money they have. However, you're the one with the talent, you're the one with the confidence, and you're the one with the strength. They're just vibrating erratically and talking to a demon. And that's what empowers them. Not only that, they're manipulating all the men within the NFT circuit and then bullying Gary Vaynerchuk because it's not going like they want it to. All money focused instead of what an NFT actually is, because they didn't do their research, nor do they understand what an NFT is. It's like it starts with a thought. It's imagination. Imagination is like manifestation. There is a difference, but I haven't tapped into that definition quite yet. Imagination is dreaming it up with an idea. It's creative. It's maybe outlandish, but you never know, because in the old days, we didn't have cell phones. However, someone was able to put together 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 in a code and create cell phones. So even your most outlandish, imaginative thought becomes a manifestation of a physical form. Once you start with a thought, then you figure out that thought of negative and that no longer works. So that's a self-awareness game. Starts with a thought, then you figure out that thought of negative no longer works. So it's like you're really a good person, okay? All this work is for somebody who's a sane mind. You're really empowered in yourself. You're like, okay, well, I'm gonna try going to be a doctor or whatever. And then you fail a test. And then the negative thoughts kick in. I'm never going to be able to be a doctor. I'm never going to be able to be a doctor. I'm never going to be able to be a doctor. And then all of a sudden, you realize, well, shit, that's the negative thought. That's not true. That's the demon coming at you from your classmate who's jealous of your common sense skills. Comes from your teacher, depending on what teacher you have. However, it's not the teacher. Could come from your demon that you have inside you that you picked up when you went to the grocery store. It could be your high school friend. It's like all from different spaces. It could be from even outer space, because you might be an alien. However, I guess it doesn't really particularly matter, because you're so protected in your own space that you realize it's a negative thought and you transmute it into that positive thought of, oh, well, shit, let me look at the test and see what I missed. Because now when I have a patient that sits in my chair who is dying of such and such, I'll remember that I missed that on the test, and then I'll be able to evolve into a revolution around the subject, which then becomes the equivalent benefit. Versus you wallowing and crying over some stupid test. It's a pretty powerful forward thinking versus past thinking or negative mindset thinking. It's like you're sick and tired of being sick and tired conversation. I'm sick and tired of being a Debbie Downer, even though I'm not really a Debbie Downer. So it's like the initial state is yourself as a Debbie Downer, as an initial self-awareness. But then you're like, well, shit, I'm not really a Debbie Downer. But what is affecting me is Debbie Downer energy from around me. And I'm pretty much sick and tired of that conversation. So now I'm going to learn how to create my positive mental attitude on a regular basis. You already have everything inside you. God delivers. Figuring out where is the place not to look. You already have it. Where do you not look for advice? Where do you not look to get a source energy that depletes your life? Who is your mentor? Currently, we're preventing war. Fear is the negative emotion that stems from everything. It's been written in A Course in Miracles. There's either fear or love, and then all the emotions go listed under one of the two. Polarity is negative. Every negative has an opposite. So when someone says you're a polarized human being, they're telling you that you have a negative and a positive. And that's just not true. You're multidimensional, which is a transmutation of my word so they can occur as if they're intelligent. So they turned my multidimensional perspective shift into a negative concept. You're a polarized person, Gary Vaynerchuk. No, actually, he's not. He's multidimensional. They've said it to him about 10 times now since that hoe showed up. They're all working against him. Decide what you want, fear to let go. Decide what you are prepared to give up to get it. I'm just going to finish this page and then I'm going to stop this video and we're going to go on to the next video. Set your mind to it. Get on with the work. Do the work. Money hunter versus being of service. Write the image you want to hold. Qualities of others are ideal. So you'll see someone as a mentor. You'll see something in them that you want to embody for yourself. It becomes a word of honesty. Integrity. Joy. Idealistic is the best version of something. Courageous. Someone just said manipulative. Would that be an idealistic position for someone to be in? No, that's a detriment to society. However, the social media influencer looks at manipulation as an opportunity to grow the money mongrel hunter. Watch and observe people's behaviors. Read. Act out what you read and then focus on you. Transmutate. So that's part 1 of our video with Bob Proctor. This gets a little bit more evolutionary in the, I'm going to tell you a little bit more in the next video about the terror barrier, because that's an important one to really understand, the power introduction. And then we'll revisit that diagram to get a more visual of more understanding in the evolution of that experience. So you can also add in a word of the pain body with vibration. So that's an Eckhart Tolle conversation of the pain body as associated with vibration. See how they're all, the teachings intertwine in perspective as multidimensionals. Our spirit guides are bringing in higher selves of individuals, utilizing source to expand the mind as we collectively consciousness rise above the demons and create peace on earth.